Hey, what's up, everybody? We're up here right now with CalFIRE Captain Joe Peterson. Joe, you know, it looks like you got a map out here. We're on the top of McCrae Ridge, right? We're on Sweetwater Springs Road, kind of right at the top where it shifts down into West County and goes towards Armstrong Redwoods, where it drops down onto West Side Road and the drainage that kind of runs through this area. So would you mind just giving us an idea of this big red blob that we see and what it means? Because we're not seeing anymore the three fires, right? Myers was always one, Walbridge second, and then we had the third, which we were kind of colloquially calling the Stewart Fire up here.
Right.
And just tell us what you see right here and what it makes you think.
Yeah, so you know, it's come together, and we've had lightning strikes. So let's back up a little bit. Lightning strikes with smaller fires, and now they've kind of combined together. You know, we're here on the south end on Sweetwater Springs Road, and our mission has been to keep the fire on the north side of Sweetwater Springs Road, and so that way we can really.
This is us right here.
Yeah, right.
Show us where they're right there, right?
So actually, if you look on McCrae Ridge Road, we're down here. So Mountain Jackson's right here, and we're right downhill from Mountain Jackson, between the McCrae Ridge and Mount Jackson proper. And then, so our objective has been to do the best that we can to keep it on the north side of Sweetwater Springs Road. That way it won't impact the communities of Rio Nido, Hacienda, the greater Summer Home Park area. We're really trying to keep it out of that, because once it gets in there, it's a real steep and real heavy vegetation. If we can keep on the method that we're at, it's going to be helpful. We currently have dozers that have cut line along the ridge.
That's what this blue is right here.
Yeah, these blue X's are dozers, and I need to update this just as I seen you. I just got information that they're at the top of Mount Jackson, and they're going to be working down the Gilder Ridge Road back towards this way. That's one of our lines, that containment lines we're working on to help keep the fire north. It has slopped over Sweetwater Springs Road, unfortunately.
Slopped.
So slop means our intention was to keep it on that side of Sweetwater Springs Road, but late last night, I believe, it's hard to keep track of the days, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I think it was late last night, we had a pocket of redwoods torch off and just put an ember cast across Sweetwater Springs Road. We had about,
and for reference, there's this thing with fire that everyone teaches us, like all you guys who deal with it every day, which is fire on the ground, that's okay, but fire in the trees, you call it torch off, then it's going from, you're not only having ember cast, but it's going from crown to crown to crown. It makes the ability to really jump and fly, right?
Yes, yeah. That crown fire is what's really hard for us to control. That ground fire in the grass and the brush, a little bit easier. Up here, it's not so good. So that's what we were dealing with, a little bit of crown fire last night. That's crossed Sweetwater Springs Road, and we're trying to pick up the slops, and what we call the fire service term, the slop, is the fire that crossed areas that we didn't want it to cross.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you have this other word, which is the fire skunking around, which is when it's kind of sitting down and there's not a lot of wind, and it's just looking for different fingers to go down, go up the hill here, hit a drainage over here. It's kind of like searching for fuel, right?
Correct, and that's really the hard part. Is a lot of times we'll have it skunking around, and we'll insert our crews to go cut that out and put that fire out. But occasionally we'll get a gust of wind like we're experiencing right now, and it'll stand that fire up, and it'll go from a skunking fire, and it'll find the jackpot of fuels and start torching out the trees, and that's really difficult.
When people call us and say, hey, what's that black plume versus the white plume versus the gray, right? What is it? Is it getting up and kind of exploding like in the pine trees and going, or those black plumes are also maybe structures or fuel or other things that are man-made up in those areas?
Exactly, all the above. Unfortunately, we have been losing some structures. We're doing our best, you know, that, and we're saving them quite a bit too. But it could be structures, it could be other materials out there, vehicles that are around structures. It could be some of those heavier fuels like the trees.
Gotcha. So we're going around here. So here is, if we can just Sweetwater, and that's where we're at right now, and you're talking about trying to defend here and not allow it to jump the river. That's kind of the whole goal, and get down into Guerneville, Guernwood Park, you know, Forestville down here and others. But then you have this whole area where we go in. So this is Felta Creek, which is off of West Side Road. Yeah. Mill Creek, there's a lot of structure loss up there. Unfortunately, we spent a lot of time up there. Pretty much the 6,500 block forward is pretty torched up there. It's really sad. But then you get up here, and I was up with Chief Jason Boaz from Hillsburg yesterday. We're up here in the Chemise and Big Ridge. And it was interesting because while the timber here is very similar, it's all bents and other things, up here it almost seems like the Eastern Hills, like more that manzanita and other stuff that flies through it, really kind of desert area, that Lake Sonoma hot stuff.
Correct.
And one thing for people to know, and I'm almost interested in you, is that what we're tracking is, number one, is that since 2017, we've been doing a lot of work with fires and fire management up here around Lake Sonoma, because if we get too much carbon that goes into burnt sludge that goes into this lake, then it affects the filtration and the water quality for 600,000 people. Now, a reminder that this water is released down Dry Creek, and it comes all the way down, and comes down here to Walbridge, and at Walbridge down here we have collector wells. And those collector wells are a primary CAL FIRE protection point along with Sonoma water.
Yes.
Because if we, once again, that shows you how what happens up here could affect people all the way down to Marin and other areas. So I just got some pictures of some amazing vegetation management that's going on around the Wohler areas. But it's crazy because while people are doing veg management, they can't start. They're trying not to start a fire in these kind of conditions, right?
It can be confusing.
Yeah.
It can be. It's conflicting interests right there with the fuel management and the time of year where it's hot and dry.
Let me ask you one other thing. Since we see this, here's Myers, right? Myers grade. These areas, we've seen some evacuations up here, like up kind of going north, some around here. This thing's sitting at 2,500, 3,000 acres. This thing is growing substantially.
That's correct.
We've seen a lot of air support from you guys coming up into this area because of how fast it moves. This area, it seems very difficult for the planes to get as much because they're just dumping it on huge timber stands and other things like that. What are they doing, the air support here and here? Are they trying to cover ridge lines so that it stops it from dropping over?
Sure.
Or are they trying to go right onto the fire? What are they doing?
A lot of different objectives that we have. When they're going right on the fire, sometimes we want to check the fire in place. That way we have time to insert our ground crews in there to create some line. Sometimes they're going to pre-treat a ridge top because they already know, like, we're going to request them to pre-treat some of this area if we can.
Okay.
Yesterday I was making some of those requests, and unfortunately due to the smoke visibility, air tech couldn't get in here. They couldn't safely bring the air tankers in here. Today we had a piece swap over at Mount Jackson, and we were able to get 3 National Guard helicopters in here inserted, and they helped really contain that fire for us.
And the National Guard helicopters are dropping water.
Yes.
Right? So all your CAL FIRE stuff, for the most part, the stuff that we see that opens up its belly, that's all retardant. That's you're trying to pre-treat and like where the fire's going to come, get it before it hits.
Yes.
Are you not trying to drop that directly on fires?
We do that, but we have to find a priority, and we have to make sure we're applying it at the right time. As we're building these lines, if you apply it too soon, it has a potential to dry out, and it's not as effective. So the sooner you could do it to a firing operation or the impinging fire, impacting fire, it's a timing thing.
Okay.
And so we have to balance that out with the weather, the smoke conditions, and the resource availability.
Well, thank you. You got anything else we need to know right now? Your folks doing okay?
Yeah, we're doing all right. We're all, it's a team effort. Everyone's got to look out for each other. We're looking out for ourselves, taking care of ourselves, making sure we got plenty of food and water, and we're trying to get rest where we can. But it's really important that we put this fire out. We got more hot weather coming, more lightning on the forecast. We will see if that brings moisture or not. So it's a marathon.